This is how you guys can make money on YouTube without showing your face or ever stepping in front of the camera. In this video, I'm going to give you an amazing niche to start your channel around, a rough idea of what your scripts and titles should look like, and of course, an amazing outsourcing strategy to get your channel monetized as soon as possible. Alright, let's start off with the niche. The one space on YouTube that you ideally want to go for is of course travel. Now, why produce content around travel? When you plan to establish a successful YouTube channel, it's not enough to know your competition and your target audience. It's equally important to identify all possible sources of revenue. One of the biggest advertisers on YouTube is a company called Expedia, and it would make sense for big companies like them to play their ads in front of their desired audience. With companies like Expedia backing up your channel, your videos are expected to generate a much higher CPM. What this essentially means is that your content is likely to generate higher revenue for every 1,000 views that you get. Proof that it works. But there are way more than just anecdotes to back this up. Channels like Mojo Travels, Touropia, Scary Harry, and World According to Briggs. The channel Touropia, for example, produces very typical content around ideas like the top 10 places to visit in such and such city/country. And even though they upload just one video per month, they still manage to get in an average 4.9 million views per video. So how much revenue could this channel be possibly generating? Well, just based on ad revenue alone, assuming that they're getting a minimum CPM of $7, it is a whopping $34,500, which is crazy considering that they can be translating that content into other languages and making even more revenue with the same videos. So now that we've seen that it actually works, let's see what it takes to actually pull it off. And it all starts with an idea. There are a few good ways to generate good video ideas, but the technique that I find most helpful is to base your content around what other successful YouTube channels are already doing. Because even if you use keyword generators to fill in the gaps to see what people want to watch, it is always a good idea to have a few videos around that give you an idea for whether that's a viable option or not. It is also a good idea to see what kind of titles work for specific videos and also what kind of title formats worked in the past. For example, you could say, what you need to know about country/state, or the top 10 most blank cities in country/state. An example of the latter could be the top 10 most secluded towns in the United States, which was able to bring in 5 million views. Or maybe something like the top 10 most violent small towns in the United States, which brought in 3 million views. Other title formats could potentially look something like this: top 10 places to live in a country/state, top 10 places to visit in country/state/city, or country/city travel guide. And just from this, you should be able to tell that there are ultimately an infinite number of places that you could base these ideas around. But of course, some of these ideas are going to perform better than others. And the best way to validate which ideas work the best is by simply searching it on YouTube. Filter out the content by the most viewed in the past 6 months to get a good idea of what has been working recently. If these are videos that pop up regularly, that is probably a good indication that that is something that people have an interest in. But just to be sure, make sure that the videos that you're looking to model have at least 50 to 100,000 views. Video production. Scripting. After the video idea has been generated, it is now time to move on to the video production. The first thing that you want to do is get a script written. And to make it easier for you to write your own scripts, I actually put together a little template that I'm going to share with you right now. So for example, if you're producing a travel guide around a specific city, then you can set a few key parameters that you're going to cover in that video. This could include things like the most interesting tourist attractions, the best hotels, the best restaurants, and maybe the top 3-4 most interesting places to visit in that city. I would recommend deriving information from multiple different sources. Try not to limit yourself basing your information of just one YouTube video that you watched or the first Google search that popped up. The more sources you use, the more well-rounded your content is going to be, and at the end of the day, the more value it will provide to the end user. Providing value and retaining attention is the basis of a successful YouTube video. Voiceover. Once you have your script ready, it's time to move on to the voiceover. If you decide to do the voiceover yourself, you can use your phone, for example, and just record the voiceover there, or if you have a microphone just like this one, you can use this as well. However, if you decide to hire someone else to do the voiceover for you, you can use any freelancing platform like Upwork.com or Fiverr.com and find a voiceover factor there. Gathering stock footage and editing. The most time and energy intensive process of video making is the editing process. Finding videos and pictures for your videos is simple and effective if you know where to look. There are 3 primary ways to go about this: using free services, paid services, and getting clips from YouTube. Free services include Pixabay.com, Pexels.com, VideoVO.net, and Thereful.com. Some paid services that you could look into are Storyblocks.com and Envato Elements. Clips from YouTube. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what about pulling clips directly from YouTube? Well, you could do that, and in my content, I derive a lot of the clips from other YouTube videos. However, it's not as simple as just copy-pasting others' clips into our own videos. It is important that when you use clips from other channels, you make the content transformative. So what do I mean by transformative? To abide by YouTube's fair use policy, the clips derived from other YouTube channels must have a unique voiceover and must be rearranged in a different order. Just make sure that you follow these 2 things and you should have no problem with the authenticity of your video. You can also dive a little further into the YouTube's fair use policy if that is something that you're interested in. Editing. Alright, so now that we have the voiceover and the clips, we can get started with the editing process. Now, there are a few free softwares that you can go about doing this. The main ones that I would recommend are OpenShot, Shotcut, and if you're in Mac, then iMovie is a good option. However, if you're looking something for a little more premium, then you can check out Power Director or Final Cut Pro if you are on Mac. It's simple, to the point, it's easy to use, however, it does cost a little bit of money. High viewer retention content. So naturally, an issue that many people ask me about is how to edit videos to achieve the highest viewer retention possible. Well, one of the strategies that I found is to always keep things dynamic and engaging, changing the cuts every 3 to 6 seconds. If you look at a Mr. Beast video, he changes the cuts every 1.1 second on average in the first 30 seconds of the video. The average person's concentration span is about 7 seconds, and even that seems to be going down drastically. So in order to keep things engaging and dynamic, I would recommend to not have your clips longer than 6 seconds. This will ensure that people don't get bored and they don't click away from the video. This might sound like a lot of work because you're making snappy content, you're making a lot of cuts, but believe me, making the video as best as possible for the viewer and making sure that they don't click away will do wonders for the performance of your video. The next thing that I'd recommend is to use the title section. Many people miss out on these, but they are a very handy tool to have. This will make it easier for the viewer to follow the video and most likely keep their attention. You can make the titles a little more interesting by adding animation or quirky questions, anything you feel that will engage the viewer's attention. Thumbnail and title. And then finally, when you have your entire video edited and it is ready to be published onto YouTube, you want to make sure that you have an amazing thumbnail and title to make sure that video gets a high click-through rate. Click-through rate, or CTR for short, is essentially the number of people that see your video on their home feed and click on it to watch it. This is YouTube's way of assessing whether your content is worth to be pushed by the algorithm to a wider audience. You need to make sure that people click on your video, and the way to do that is to have a great thumbnail and title. Now, it's pretty intuitive what a good thumbnail should look like. I mean, think about all the videos that you would naturally be inclined to click on. Usually they would have little to no text, some very bright colors to grab your attention, and then of course an interesting imagery or an action piece that would get you to be curious. I would recommend basing your thumbnails around ideas that are proven to work. If a lot of the channels on YouTube that you are seeing tend to follow the same thumbnail format, it would be in your best interest to adopt that as opposed to trying and playing around with new ideas. It's much faster to achieve success by following what is already working rather than trying to come up with something new. Some free image editors that you can look into are Canva, Snappa, and of course Paint.net. Monetization. Now, many of you are probably saying, George, this is great, but how do I use this to make money on YouTube? Well, now that you have an idea of how to make faceless videos that perform well on YouTube, there are 3 ways that you can use to generate cash flow, especially in the travel niche. Ad revenue. The first method of monetization is through ad revenue. A great thing about the travel niche is that it likely has a high CPM because there are big advertisers like Expedia, Orbitz, and Hotels.com who are likely putting all of their ads on these videos in the travel niche. And to take full advantage of the ad revenue, I would recommend to make your video longer than 8 minutes, This way you can ensure that you can have multiple ad breaks throughout the video. How many ad breaks you should be ideally putting in your video? Well, the answers tend to differ, but I would recommend putting an ad break every 2 to 3 minutes and spacing them out as you get to the end of the video. This will ensure that people aren't bombarded with too many unskippable ads and that they don't click away from your video. Method number 2 of earning in the travel niche is through affiliate revenue. You can sign up for affiliate programs with big travel companies. Try to see if big companies like Expedia or Hotels.com have an affiliate program that you can join. Sign up to those and just drop your affiliate link down in the description. Now, it's likely that you will make just a tiny portion of the sale that you generate for the big company, so arguably it's much better to make a course showing people how to hack their credit cards to unlock a few travel perks. If a course like this already exists, you can reach out to them and see if they have an affiliate program. And even if they don't, you can always email them and ask them if they're open to set up an affiliate program for you. It would bring up your chances of making a profitable deal. And finally, the third way of making money is through brand deals. As your channel grows, the big players in the market would probably start reaching out to you for potential paid sponsorship opportunities. This is why I would recommend putting your email in the video description and also linking that up to the about page of your YouTube channel. This way brands can contact you and pay you for simply mentioning their company in your video. Now, you must optimize your channel correctly to make sure that you can hook in big advertisers just like this. The time that you put into making these videos should amount to something. YouTube is one of the best business models out there, and it is within your capacity to make it profitable if you know how. Check out this video to see how to optimize your channel as soon as possible and avoid the mistakes that most small YouTubers make. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.